Hello, welcome back, everybody. We're going to do some fun stuff today. We're on to that next stage. We're on to projects. We're on to the users and workspaces, clients and contacts. Now, we haven't done all of the bits of it, but I'll be filling parts of that in, and we'll probably schedule some more live streams as well. But we're getting there. We are getting there. We're excited. I just noticed something really cool, by the way. Like, watch this, watch this. A new Mac thing. I can do a presenter overlay, and I can put myself in the bottom corner. Like, what is that? When did that happen? Or I could just do like a huge me. But no, I'm just going to keep that turned off. Kind of fun. We'll see. But we are here to look at code. This stuff over here, this part of my screen, above me, that side of me. Let's go. Right, so we are... Yeah, YouTube did not like that overlay. Oh dear, I'm breaking everything. So, right. We've done users. We can authenticate, we can register, blah, blah, blah. We're using Laravel Breeze. It was expected. And then we've got our workspaces. So everyone gets a default workspace. That's good. We can then add clients to our workspace, and then there's contacts, which we kind of did, but we'll come back to. But now we're on to like the project stuff. And I want to make sure that I kind of keep up with some form of momentum here. So, we've got our clients over here. That's all good. We've got a dashboard. What we want is projects. These things down here, what are we actually working on? So that if I log in, can I actually see what I'm doing? This should only show active projects. So let's go and start modeling this out a little bit. So let's just close all of those. And what we're going to do is we are going to say PHP Artisan. We are going to make a new model. We're going to make a project model. We want a factory, a migration, and a policy. Model. Oh, how have I already created it? What have I done? Okay. Okay, so apparently I've already done it. I don't even know when I did that. Apparently I did that over a week ago, almost. Jesus, okay. Well, that was anticlimactic. End of stream, right? So we've got a name for our client. Who is this client? What do we call them? What is the company? Oh, sorry, we're on projects. So what's the name of the project? Like, is it invoicing API? Is it iOS app for whatever? It's got a status. And so far, our statuses is an enum with pending, active, completed, and cancelled. Somewhat sensible. If you can think of any others, drop them in the comments, and we'll see if they make sense. Then we've got text column for a nullable text column for details. Like, what are the details of this project? We get a brief, we get a spec. Drop it in there so you can kind of come back, read it through if you need to. It's there in place. Then you're saying, okay, so it's for this client. And we've got this nullable contact ID. So it's for this client, but this is the person who is like my contact for this project. Because you might be working on several projects for the same client, each with a different contact. Hopefully we are following. Do you plan to finish the CRM and shape it up like a... Yes, that is my plan. I don't know how much of the front end I'll get done because I absolutely suck at front end, but I am going to do my best to get as much of this done as possible. Obviously, we've got the create client. Wow. Where did that yawn come from? But we are now on projects. Projects works. We've modeled it. It has been migrated. We've got a model for the project. Has ULIDs, has factory. All of the good stuff is in place. Belongs to a client and a contact. Then we've got this state for the state machines that we are going to look at a little bit later on. So let's go over to our authenticated layout and add projects into the main navigation. So over here, we'll leave that empty for now, and we will keep it as a bot because why not? So we got our projects over there. So what we want to do is come to our routes and make sure we can start routing to things. So we're going to say new PHP file projects. Let's declare some strict types, and we're going to use eliminate support facade root. Excellent. So what do we want to do here? We want to load this into our routes. Wow, I must be tired today. I do apologize. So let's say root prefix projects as projects, and then we will group them using the base path. And the path we are going to use is going to be routes web projects. Excellent. That file is done. That is done. Let's just go add this now. So root, it will need to be a get request. For now, we're just going to return an empty string, and we're going to give this a name of index. Now, this is a initial route for our stuff, just so that we can come over here and we can change this to be that. Projects. Now, if I click on it, I should be getting an empty string. That's fine with me. Okay. What about dictionary tables for these enums to have database level consistently? Nope. So at that point, we're normalizing something that's and storing it in a database for something that's very likely to never change. You know, these statuses, we're probably never going to have more than 4. Now, we could put that in a database as an enum or in, like you say, a dictionary table, or for us not common with that, speak a normalized table and just kind of link to it. But have it version controlled, right? I mean, a database enum and your dictionary table, they can't be version controlled. You can't roll back if you fuck up. An enum you can. So that's what I am doing. Enum for the win. So here's projects there. So down here, we can go on resources, pages, and create a new directory for projects. And we will create a index.view file. We're going to start this off with a script setup lang ts. And we're going to want to import the authenticated layout. Drop in that template, authenticated layout. Show me the projects. Excellent. So now what we need to do is link to it. So under HTTP controllers, let's go ahead and create projects here, and we'll create an index controller. Now that's fixed. So we can say public function invoke. We want to pull in that request. And this is going to return a response. Use inertia route. So we want to get projects for the authenticated user and return them as a prop. Let's make sure you can see the code nicely there. So what we want to do is also pull in that. I feel like I'm writing regex right now. There we go. That's the one. Current user. So that's a workspace. Okay, so we want to say project query where get, and we leave it at that. We'll worry about pagination in a little bit, I think. So we want to look where the column project. This is where we need to look at like a client, because it can't be empty as a client. Okay, slightly different. Where has, and the relation is going to be client. Callback is going to be a function which gets the eloquent builder injected into it. And then we say builder where that, and fix that up. So we want to get any project that has got an attached client. If they should all have an attached client. There is not a nullable property. So we want to make sure that we get the clients that belong to this workspace, which will limit this query backwards. And then down here, what we can do is we can return this factory render, and the component is going to be projects index, and the props will be projects, like so for now. We will be swapping this out in a little while. Why don't you scope in the model? Honestly, I've never felt the need to. So if we come back to our root here, what we can do is use app http controllers projects. And then this can be projects index controller. Show me the projects. And we're there. We got something. So let's talk about scoping in the model. Now, a way we could do that is all for life. Hated pagination. I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, I don't think this Mac's quite that good, to be honest. It's an M1 with 16 gig, but you know, I don't have any issues in seeing it. This CRM's likely only ever going to be used locally. Pagination would be nice, but I don't know if I want to do that right now. Something for later. Problem for later. I've never got that many projects on, right? So what we want to do, we've got all of the projects there. So what we need is a resource for our project. So don't know what I wrote there. Make a resource, and we are going to make a project resource. So let's go ahead and work on this project resource. And the property project for the resource is going to be something. And for now, let's just start like this. So we get the ID, always got to get the ID. Then we've got a name, a status, details. So we've got name, status value, pass the value back. details, this resource details, and then we're going to have the client is going to be new client resource, and we're going to want the resource to be this resource client. And then we've got the contact, and we are going to say a new contact resource, where the resource is this resource contact. So far, so good. Client resource is already done. That is done in there. I might skip this one because we're going to get the client, which is going to get the contacts by default. So instead, this can be this resource contact ID. So if we just get the ID at this point, what we can do is if it's null, don't do anything. If it does exist, we can mark the client contact that matches that as the main contact for this project. Or we could just filter it out because we're getting that data already. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this approach, but I'm testing it to see if it's going to work. So let's go for our project resource as a collection, and then the resource is going to be projects. So far, nothing, but that's okay. So if we go to our database seeder, client factory, then we're going to do an each for all of that stuff. And let's do another each. Client, project, factory, for client, count, 5, create. Let's just do that. But that's going to bug me. So let's drop that down like that. So there we go. Let's migrate fresh and seed. Is it going to do it? Is it going to do it? Fingers crossed. I don't break the internet. Perfect. We got there. Right. So now we got to log in. So I can log in as me. Sign in, go away, come over to projects. Ooh, attempting to lazy load client on model project, but lazy loading is disabled. Oh no. Okay, so over here, we need to add a with client contacts, like that. There we go. We got there. So all of that is done. We've got stuff we need. Let's close all of that and let's see what we can get displayed. So grab that. It's going to grab that breadcrumb because I'm going to want to do something very similar. Like this, breadcrumb, dashboard, and then we are on projects. Projects index. Got it. Go to the dashboard, come back to projects. We are all good. This we will figure out. So that is all good. After this, this is where our main content will be for our projects. The only thing here that's lazy is okay, Benjamin. I haven't had enough coffee for you yet. Okay, so what I want to do here is like over here, we need to get a way to load our projects by default, right? So in our handle inertia requests, this needs to have a way to get the projects. So projects, what we need to do is this auth check. If we do have projects, then we need to return them. Otherwise, return null. So let's open up our index.ts and let's start defining some of this. Export type project. Our project is going to have an ID as a string, name as a string, status is going to be a string, details is going to be a nullable string, a contact is a nullable string, and then the client is a client. Awesome, 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 awesome. So that's all good. Then we've got user there, and then we've got projects down there. So auth user is that, and then projects is going to be a project. So this bit here, what we want to do is, we should be able to get something done here. Project resource collection, where the resource is this auth user workspace projects. Hopefully that works. Workspace. That's not going to do it. It's not going to cut it. Okay, so we'll have to command it backwards again. So project query and just get for now. If we just do that, we're going to have everything we need. Okay. With client. There's got to be a nicer way to share this state, right? At the minute, I'm kind of doing two of the same queries, which is going to really bug me in the back of my mind. But we will get back to it. Let's come back to this authenticated layout now. And this project's here. We don't want to use that. We want to get const projects is a project. Like that. Make sure we pull it in. User project. So page props projects. Was it auth projects? I can't remember now. Auth projects. Right. That is that. So then what we're going to have for project in projects, we're going to key it by the project.id. I'm going to drop the href for now. Going to drop that as well. And we're just going to have project name. So we've got a lot of projects, which is great, but we want to filter that. So carrying on with this query, we've got relations there. Then we're going to do a get. We want to limit this to 5, maybe. Latest there. Then what we also want to do is say where the status is value status active. Something like that. Only get 5 active projects, basically. And there we go. That ... more. We can kind of link that to all projects. But we're going to get the main ones here. View project, share project, delete project. Cool. We're getting somewhere, right? So we're going to get 5, do our business. We're going to look and see what we can do with this, and maybe there's a way we could cache it nicely. I'm not sure. Got to be a nice way, right? What do you think? What would you do? What are your thoughts? Got many, many, many thoughts. Let's just take that full screen. All right, time for a quick drink, I think, while I figure this out. What would you do? I could create like a service class and just have it as a cached value. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm trying to do the exact same query here. So to me, instead of querying twice, I'd rather cache, personally. That takes us down the cache management route, which is always an interesting topic. So maybe we'd have like a maybe a service class to get projects. This is where stuff like services and repositories really do come in handy. Maybe I'll do that. We're going to do services and repositories. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's get onto it. So let's go ahead and say repositories here. And what we will do is we're just going to do a really loose repository here. We're going to have this project repository here. We're just going to do that. And then in the constructor, we are going to want to inject a couple of things. We're going to have a private read-only database manager for the database. We're also going to have a private read-only user as user, but this is going to be the current user, like that. Just fix all that up. Make that read-only. Remove that horrible spacing that seems to get added. So what we can do here is basically repository. What we want to do is just get all for a specific user. So return project query with relations client contacts where has pretty much what I did last. Order by latest in get. Now I could just return a builder here, which would give me a lot more flexibility. If I return a builder here in the service layer, I can get all projects and carry that query on, right? So if we did this, for example, let's go ahead and go create our service class now. So services, and what we'll do is have like a workspace service, something like this. And in here, we will pull in the construct. We're going to have a private read-only project repository as projects. And then we can have a public function. We want to fetch projects for our workspace. So what we're going to have, we're going to say, okay, so projects is this projects all, and get them. Then what we can do is just return projects, but we will cache this. So this is going to return a collection, which is great. This can then be read-only. This repository is being used. That's not being used yet, but we're not too worried about that. So that down here, what we can do is all of that. We can do a got the auth manager there. Private read-only workspace service as a service. We can say this service fetch projects. That's all we need to do. So that this service here, what we then want to do is we want to use that cache facade, but that cache facade is only going to get the cache manager. So instead of that, why don't we inject it? And what we can do instead is repository. I'm going to remove that because I've got an idea. We are going to have the user there, and then we can just do that. So that in our service, we want to say for a specific user, and the user is that. Okay, I think we're getting there, right? I think we're getting there. So that in this handles inertia request, what we can do is say that the user is this auth user. There we go. So fetch projects. Is there. So then this, what we want to do is say this cache forever. Now, but give me a minute. The key is going to be something, and the value will be whatever is returned from that. Now, forever returns a Boolean, so that projects actually has to be defined here. So then that's then there. Fix that up. We're getting the user. So we can do something like a sprintf user projects user ID. We'll just do that. There you go. Copilot knew what to do. So this is what we got there. Fetch all of these projects like so, like that. Project repository, that's going to do that. This is going to fetch the projects, give me a collection back, and we just want to take 5. And we can do basic where queries on it, like that. Ooh, apparently not. Undefined constant, status active. Ooh, okay, maybe not. Yeah, we'll leave that where clause off for now. So that is all of the projects. We've got 5 projects and we are good, right? This is now being cached, and over in our controller, which is our index controller for projects, what we can do is instead of that, we can say public function construct response factory. You can have a private read-only response factory there. Delete this and delete that because it's no longer needed. Make that read-only. And then we can say private workspace service as a service. Then projects here can be this service fetch projects all. I believe we might have to use get. I'm not 100% sure. But we could just pass user in there. Remove that. There we go. There we go. You're good. Right. We are now using kind of a service repository style pattern to make the most out of it. Now, it's not a traditional repository because we're not actually returning data from our repository. It's more of a kind of pre-built query collector. There's probably a name for it. I don't know, but this seems to work. Step closer. Yeah, it seems like a step closer to Symfony, doesn't it? So we got our projects. We can fetch our projects, and in this workspace service here, we can do other things. We can say public function fetch projects for nav. We could do a method like that if we wanted to, but I'm not going to. I am wondering if there is a way that I could pass through a callable here as a callback, and then use tap. It would be cool if I could tap projects with a callback over here. That would be pretty cool. Because I'm then caching it and then executing something additional on top to get my eloquent collection. So let's say over here, what we're going to do is we're going to get fetch projects as our user, and the callback is going to be, we're going to get a collection of projects. Pardon me, I believe at this point. And then we could do something like active take and do that. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest. I'm expecting this to break. 1 passed in, too few arguments to fetch projects. 1 passed in on line 31. Workspace service, 1 passed in on the index controller. So on that index controller, what we could also do is just pass through that. Can I use a closure? No. No, just do that. There we go. I've still got 5 back. Thanks. Thanks for joining me. So yeah, I'm looking at ways that we can improve what we're doing without having to do multiple queries. How can we cache it? We've got this service here. We can pass a closure through to kind of tap into it at the end. So call the given closure with the given value, then return the value. So at this point, we are getting this project's all get. This is giving us all of our data at that point. Now, if this was not on there, so it was that, and what was passed into projects was actually the builder, and then we did a get, this might work out better. So on our index controller, what we want to do is nothing there, but this is what we might want to change here. I think. Don't need double take 5s. Let's see what happens. Serialization of SQLite is not allowed. Okay, so that is why that is not happening. We're trying to serialize too much. And over here, this take 5 is doing absolutely nothing. Take 5. Now we have a choice here to take 5 in the middleware or to take 5 in somewhere else. But I don't know what's a better way to do it, to be honest. We'll stick with it as is and we'll keep going. So we've now introduced a new problem, right? We've introduced this. I wonder actually. Bear with me. What happens if I inject the current user here instead? Must be compatible with. That is that. Okay. I can live with that. I'm happy with that so far. Okay. What was I thinking? Okay. Project. We've got this new problem of we've got to manage the cache at this point, right? So what I like to do when I get to this point is create a new kind of test command. So we're going to make a new command and we're just going to call this test command. We're going to open that test command and it's just going to be like relatively basic. We're going to say this is as a command. The name is going to be app test and the description is, I don't know, mostly for debugging and figuring stuff out. I always have one of these in my project. So we have got this new command that we can say a app test, all good. What we want to do is, can we get all of the cache keys? So we want to do something like apparently that. Let's see what that does. Apparently not. Undefined method, get keys. Okay, so get store. This gives us a something. Okay, that's way too much. Okay, so we're going to want to get like the cache manager injected as cache there. So instead of that, we're going to want to say something like Okay. Yeah, not a problem. I'll finish up now. So what we want to do is go something like cache. Forget driver, get defaults, get store. That will give me a store. And then, I don't know. That might not be the right one. Okay. I'm not 100% sure there. But what we want to do is basically get all of the... I don't want to get all of the cache keys. Can we get all of the user %s projects keys from the database for a user and delete them? So that's what we want to do. We want to go, okay, can we do this? Because then we can tap into eloquent events. Yeah, this is very, very true. If it gets complicated, it fails hard. So this is my next task, but I do have to go. My wife and I just got a call. Got to go get my daughter from nursery, but we managed almost an hour today. We almost got the hour in. So thank you all for joining in. Sorry I've had to cut it short. I'm going to schedule another one. Can't do tomorrow or Friday because appointments, kids appointments. But stay awesome, and I will catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.